Good morning and welcome to Football League World TV. My name is Ned Holmes and I'm joined by my Football League World colleague Toby Wilding to discuss the 6 players named on the shortlist for the Football League World Fans League One Player of the Month for March. How are you doing this morning, Toby?
Yeah, good, thanks. There's been plenty of good players in sort of standout form in League One over the past month, so it's going to be really good to sort of take a look in depth at a few of them at sort of a stage of the season where things are just really getting very interesting at every end of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. A reduced sort of schedule of League One games, obviously, during the international break. And as I said sort of to Adam yesterday, starting to feel a little bit like the calm before the storm, that as we prepare for what looks to be a fairly chaotic finish to the season in League One with so much to be decided at both ends of the table. The vote is now open and it will run until 9 a.m. tomorrow. You can either vote by clicking the link in the description below or heading to footballleagueworld.co.uk/fan-awards. The 6 nominees are as follows: Shrewsbury Town defender Tom Flanagan, not Shrewsbury Town, sorry, Wes Burns from Ipswich, Danny Mayer from Plymouth, Wycombe's Lewis Wing, MK Dons Mo Isa, and Wigan's Will Keane. Before we get started, just a reminder to like this video, subscribe to Football League World TV on YouTube, and do let us know your thoughts on all the nominees in the comments. But now me and Toby will run through those 6. We start then, Toby, with the only defender on our list, and that's Shrewsbury's Tom Flanagan. Obviously moved across from Sunderland in the winter window, and he looks renewed, doesn't he, since making that switch. And March, a really strong month for him with 22 clearances and 9 tackles, just showing how important he is at the heart of their defence.
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, you sort of look at the options that Sunderland have in their defence, the likes of Doyle, Sirkin, Bailey Wright, and then obviously Danny Bath coming in during the January window as well. It was going to be hard for Flanagan to force his way back in there, but nevertheless, with the profile he has and the experience at this level, I did still think that was really quite an impressive and quite a sort of eye-catching statement of intent from Shrewsbury to sort of bring him in, especially given their sort of status battling against relegation from League One. And he, as we're saying here, he really has it really has paid off bringing him into the club. Really settled in well in defence, made some massive contributions as you say, in terms of those clearances and tackles. And as well, I was sort of looking at his appearances for Shrewsbury over the course of March, and I tallied it as 4 clean sheets in 5 appearances that Flanagan started. And that's really sort of helped Shrewsbury put together a run of results, and some eye-catching ones as well. You think of that win over Rotherham in particular, that have really sort of seen them pull away to the point now where it's very hard to see them really getting dragged into that League One relegation battle. And so when you sort of consider those clean sheets and those defensive contributions that Flanagan has made, he certainly looks to have played a big part in that. And so, it's pretty fair to see that he is on this list, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, that cushion they've given themselves certainly going to mean they're sort of allowed to finish the season sort of building up positive momentum rather than scrapping for their place in the division. So if you think Shrewsbury Town defender Tom Flanagan deserves to be named the Football League World Fans League One Player of the Month for March, then click the link in the description below or head to footballleagueworld.co.uk/fan-awards to cast your vote. You've got until 9 a.m. tomorrow. We've got 3 midfielders in what's a fairly congested sort of set of nominees in that area of the pitch. We start with Wes Burns at Ipswich. 1 goal and an assist, and 2 assists for him rather in March, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. 10 key passes and just, I guess, just a consistent, really beating heart of what they were offering going forward, Toby. Consistently, you'd probably say Ipswich's best player over the past month, and a constant threat from that right flank.
Absolutely. I mean, I've said it before on FLW TV. When you sort of looked at the huge plethora of signings that Ipswich made in the summer, there were a lot of players coming in from the Premier League and the Championship. So, Wes Burns arriving from the Fleetwood side, who finished sort of bottom half of League One last season, he didn't really look to me to be a particularly standout piece of business with all due respect back in the summer, but he's really sort of stepped up massively for Ipswich now this season, to the point where he is one of those first names on the team sheet. And as you say, when Ipswich are looking for, those sorts of goals or assists, those game-changing moments that are going to sort of get them the wins, it does feel like it's him that they need to and are turning to. And he's been coming up with some massive moments, as you say, with those goals and assists. And it has now got to the point where, despite the fact that he might not have been the obvious sort of eye-catching signing that they made during the summer transfer window, he is now sort of one of those first names on the team sheet, because with the contributions that he's making for Kieran McKenna's side at the minute, it's impossible for them not to play him when fit, because you feel like whenever he is on the ball, there is a chance that he's going to come up with something really quite decisive and potentially spectacular that is going to sort of maybe turn a game in Ipswich's favour. And he has been massive in sort of just about keeping them in this race for the playoff places as things stand.
Yeah, absolutely. As you sort of talked about there, that source of inspiration that they've started really looking to when they need goals. 10 goals and 6 assists now for him in the season, and certainly an impressive March. We'll move to our next nominee then, and that's Danny Mayer at Plymouth. A goal and 4 assists for him, Toby. Vital contributions in the engine room, and that midfield of an inferior form Plymouth Argyle side. Obviously the defeat to Ipswich, but 18 points they earned in March, which is quite the return, and his contributions really impossible to ignore, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you say, impossible to ignore, and certainly with, as you touch on, with that goal, the quality of that. He's outside of the foot long range finish in the win over Cheltenham was just absolutely spectacular, wasn't it? But I mean, beyond that, he's just become such a reliable figure, hasn't he, for Plymouth in that centre of the park role. And I think, earlier in the season, he was really quite hampered by injuries, wasn't he? And it took him a bit of time after he returned to really get up to full fitness and sort of full flow. But he's absolutely doing that now in the way he's making things happen for Plymouth from midfield. And it's probably no surprise that when you consider that quality that he possesses when he is on top form, that has sort of coincided with an absolutely stunning run from Plymouth with those 6 wins in 6 games earlier in the month, that has really put them right into contention for a playoff spot, which, I mean, again, is hugely impressive when you consider sort of the changes, not least in manager, that Plymouth have had to deal with this season. And it just shows how important he's been to this side in terms of getting them there. And it would be a sort of excellent end to what was a tough start to the season if he could sort of help Plymouth secure that top 6 spot.
Absolutely. He certainly looks to be central, as you say, as they push for that playoff spot in the final weeks of the season. Our third midfielder on the list then is a player, Toby, that he had a difficult spell in the first half of the season. It was a loan move that didn't work out for either him or Sheffield Wednesday, but we've seen what he's all about in a Wickham shirt in March, haven't we? 2 goals and 9 tackles. That combination of industry and a real bit of in midfield.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis Wing, when he made that move to Sheffield Wednesday, I was sort of really impressed with that as a piece of business for the Owls. As you say, it didn't quite work out, but nevertheless, I think it was a really smart move then from Wickham to go out and get him on a permanent deal, because you sort of look at what he did in the past with Middlesbrough, and even on loan at Rotherham last season. He showed that he's championship quality, and he can really make that sort of impact in the second tier. So it looked a really good move for Wickham, even when things hadn't worked out at Hillsborough for him, and it has certainly paid off this month in particular. As you sort of mentioned, he got a couple of draws a couple of goals, in a 3-1 win over Crewe that sort of turned a draw into a win, and he's been absolutely vital, hasn't he, for Wickham? 7 without a win coming into March, but they're now unbeaten in 5 with 3 wins in that time, not least that one over Crewe, thanks to him. So he's made a massive sort of impact for Wickham, you feel, over the course of the month, that has again sort of kept them in that playoff mix just about. So yeah, another sort of really solid January edition that he's paying off for his new club there.
Absolutely. Well, we had a comment in from Stephen Vaughan who says one of our midfielders on the list, Danny Mayer, is on fire at the moment, and he certainly is. So if you think Danny Mayer from Plymouth, Wes Burns from Ipswich, or Lewis Wing from Wickham deserve to be named the Football League World League Fans League One Player of the Month for March, then do head to footballleague1.co.uk/fan-awards or click the link in the description below. Move on to our final two nominees on the shortlist then, Toby. Mo Isa from MK Dons is a player we've got on here, and I guess, you know, 2 goals and 1 assist, perhaps by the stats, doesn't weigh up to some of the other forwards in the league over the past month, but it's really been about coming up at big moments for him, hasn't it? You know that the game against Cambridge United, the Rotherham United one, he's just someone that keeps coming up with big moments in a March that could really prove to be a big month for MK Dons, given results against Wigan and Rotherham.
Absolutely. As you say there, you know, got the winner in what was a massive statement win, obviously, against a Rotherham side who've looked pretty much unbeatable for much of this season. Came up with the assist for the winner over Cambridge. So, you know, that's sort of 2 points that he's almost turned into 6, or had a big impact in doing that for MK Dons, and that's now put them into a position where they look really strong for a playoff spot. You know, the 9 points clear of Sunderland in 7th. There's no teams who've really got any games in hand on the Dons, so you know they're looking really quite well set for a top 6 spot at the minute. And as you say, Mo Isa, with what he's contributed to that, with those goals when he's got them, with an assist when he's got them, you know, they have been sort of points winning contributions, and that's really what you want from a striker who's who you sort of paid the big money for it, as they did in the summer by all accounts. So yeah, again, another really smart piece of business that's paid off for the Dons with Mo Isa. He is really sort of coming into his own now. It feels like he's starting to really find a bit of rhythm, and as we say, none more so than this month.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about so often on Football League World TV the importance of momentum at this point in the season, and that being a buzzword. And certainly Mo Isa's goals with, you know, as you said, turning those draws into wins, certainly helping MK Dons carry their momentum through March. Well, one of the teams they'll be scrapping out for a top 2 place perhaps is Wigan, and it's Wigan striker Will Keane that wraps up our list, the 6th nominee. 4 goals and 8 key passes for him. Toby, I mean, Wigan only played 5 games in March, and Will Keane scored 4 goals and took his tally to 19 for the season. He's in hot form right now, isn't he?
Yeah, as you say, he's been 19 for the season. He's been excellent pretty much all campaign, and really, you know, steps it up in March. And I mean, for me, I don't think it's any sort of coincidence that Wigan sort of maybe one little blip this season, sort of back in January, came at a time when he sort of picked up an injury and missed a couple of games, and that was where they slightly faltered. And, you know, since he's come back into the side, he really has been a massive presence in terms of very quickly getting them back on track and keeping them in this position where they look so well set for automatic promotion right now. And as we say, he's played a huge part in that with his goals. And I think as well, it's worth sort of noting that he hasn't always been used in that sort of centre forward role that he's most familiar with this season. You know, there's been times where he's been playing more almost as a second striker off, say, a Josh McGuinness or a Stephen Humphreys, and you know he's really taken well to that, and he has still been such a huge presence for Wigan up front, as we're seeing with these goals. And if as looks to be the case, Wigan do sort of see this out and secure a top 6 spot this season, then you feel Will Keane is and already has played a massive part in ensuring they do that.
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly feel as if Will Keane is likely to have a big say in that race for the top 2 over the final weeks of the season. Well, just a reminder then of the 6 nominees: Shrewsbury Town defender Tom Flanagan, Ipswich winger Wes Burns, Plymouth midfielder Danny Mayer, Wickham midfielder Lewis Wing, MK Dons forward Mo Isa, and Wigan striker Will Keane. As I said at the top of the show, the vote is now open and it will run until 9 a.m. tomorrow. You can click the link in the description below to cast your vote, or head to footballleagueworld.co.uk/fan-awards. Well, that's everything from myself and Toby. But at 12, Alfie Burns will be joined by two of our Football League World colleagues, Marcus Alley and Billy Mully, to debate the future of Fabio Carvalho. So that's certainly not one to be missed. But actually, we'd say thank you, Toby, and thanks everyone for watching.